Now, you've probably seen your fair share of strange and spooky clips, but what you are about to witness, it's on another level. These aren't just your everyday paranormal sightings. No, tonight's episode takes you deep into the shadows, where cryptids lurk and the unexplainable unfolds in ways you never thought possible. My name is Steve. What you're watching is Classified Captures. Before we get into the strangeness that is our channel, let's take a first look at this video and break it down a bit. In Germany, there's an abandoned train tunnel in Hessen that has become quite the magnet for urban explorers. One woman decided to go in with her phone camera and a flashlight to document the eerie passage. The video begins with her light sweeping over damp walls and rusty tracks, but then, midway through the tunnel, something happens. She stops dead in the tracks, freezes for a second, and suddenly turns and runs back the way she came, and then the footage cuts off. When the clip is slowed down and analyzed, you can see why she fled. Up ahead on the track in front of her, something appears out of nowhere. At first, it looks like rubble, but zooming in, it resembles an emaciated human arm attached to what looks like the upper torso of a person lying on the rails. The figure is pale, motionless, and partially obscured, but clearly not a normal sight in an abandoned tunnel. Because the footage is in black and white, it's impossible to tell if there's blood or color. The tunnel itself is rumored to have been used by the Germans during World War II, possibly for moving troops or storing supplies, and local legends claim that people died inside during bombings or accidents. So what exactly did she really see that day? Was it just debris shaped like a body, a homeless person, or, as some speculate, the spirit of someone who perished on those tracks decades ago? Why anyone would want to hike deep into the woods at night, well, that's already a mystery on its own. But take a look at what some friends reportedly encountered back in 2018. They were out on a late-night hike when they suddenly felt like they were being watched. As they moved further into the dark trail, their cameras caught this huge, round pair of glowing eyes staring right back at them from the trees. The footage is shaky, so it's hard to make out exactly what they were looking at, but the eyes stayed fixed on them. Most people online who've watched the clip say it looks nothing like an ordinary animal. Some even believe it was extraterrestrial. Others think it might have been an animal with an unusual eyeshine reflecting the light. Whatever it was, the encounter left the hikers rattled. This family was out by a creek enjoying the day. They'd set up a little picnic spot and decided to take a group picture to remember the moment. There were 4 of them, and when they looked back at the photograph, they noticed something that made their blood run cold. Instead of 4 faces, there was a 5th one. Right in the back, between the 2 men, was another face. It wasn't a full person, just a floating head, faint and transparent, posing for the camera with them. The family swore they had no idea who it was, and no one else was with them at the time. Some believe it could be the spirit of someone who died near that creek. Since the pandemic, many countries have been racing to digitize their systems as quickly as possible. One of those countries is Vietnam. The government recently rolled out a digital ID program making it mandatory for all citizens. And to push compliance, they've attached a very tough consequence. Anyone who hasn't registered by September the 1st, 2025 risks having their bank account suspended and even their assets frozen or closed down. That's brutal. Imagine waking up one day and suddenly losing access to your money, not because of fraud or debt, but simply because you didn't sign up for a new system. For some, this looks like a step toward efficiency and modernization, but for others, it feels like control and restrictions on an entirely new level. Do you think it's too extreme? I really do think the governments of the world have a very low opinion on the people that they supposedly govern for us to actually believe for 1 second anything they say when it comes to the digital ID thing, or basically anything. We all know it's about control, but the trouble is, until we all start being so compliant and so complacent about the fact that we're allowing these individuals to take control of us, they are going to get away with everything. All we got to do is all stand up as one, as a collective world, and say no. They can't put us all in jail. We've all seen our fair share of so-called ghost videos online. Some are clearly staged, others are so grainy or fake-looking that they're easy to dismiss. But every now and then, one clip comes along that's just too convincing to ignore, and this clip is one of those. It comes from restaurant security camera after hours. The business was completely closed for the night. The camera, which is motion activated, suddenly starts recording when something triggers it. On screen, you see a faint but unmistakable figure walking straight through one wall of the restaurant and out through the other side as if the walls weren't even there. The figure isn't fully solid, there's no sign of tampering, no employees on site, nothing in the footage indicating an obvious edit. This is where the concept of a residual ghost comes in. Paranormal researchers described these as recordings of past events rather than conscious spirits. Instead of interacting with the living, a residual ghost simply replays a moment from its life over and over like a film on a loop. If that's what we're seeing here, it could mean that decades ago someone regularly walked that exact path when the space was something entirely different. Back then, before the restaurant was built, that area might have been a corridor, a street, or even someone's home. The building changed, but the recording of the person's walk stayed, so today it looks like a ghost is strolling right through the solid walls. So some places might not be haunted, but are imprinted with memories we can occasionally see. A man was out walking through an open field when he noticed something at the tree line of the forest watching him. At first, he thought it was a person, but then he realized it was far too big. The figure was huge, covered in dark fur, standing upright on 2 legs. From his perspective, it looked at least 8 feet tall. He managed to snap a photo, but like so many of these encounters, the image turned out blurry and grainy. You can make out the silhouette of something tall and broad-shouldered, but not much else. Some people online are calling it a classic Bigfoot sighting. Others aren't so sure, saying the figure doesn't quite match the usual descriptions of Bigfoot, and speculate it could be a person in a costume, a bear standing upright, which can look surprisingly human-like from a distance, or some unknown animal. Without a clear photo or more evidence, it's hard to say for sure. A man retrieved this footage from his trail camera, and what he found was enough to send chills down anyone's spine. The clip shows a transparent, almost humanoid figure gliding past. Its outline is faint, but unmistakably shaped like a person. At first glance, anyone might dismiss it as fog or a video glitch, but this isn't just any location. The camera had been set up near an abandoned mining site with a grim history. Decades ago, a collapse buried a number of miners alive, and according to old records, their bodies were never recovered. This site was sealed off and left to decay. Given what we see in the footage, many believe this could be the spirit of one of the miners still wandering the site because they never received a proper burial. So what are your thoughts? Was this simply fog and coincidence, or did the trail camera capture a miner's ghost? A clip has been circulating online showing what many people are calling a heavenly sign. In the video, there appears to be the outline of a figure resembling Jesus looking downward with what looks like a large glowing halo around his head. The sky itself is golden, adding to the dramatic effect. From the audio, we can hear the crowd of onlookers reacting, several crying out, convinced they're witnessing something divine. Many Christians who've seen the clip say it feels like a holy vision or a sign from God. But not everyone agrees. With today's AI tools, video editing, and sky projection technology, it's easier than ever to create realistic-looking visions. A few even suggest it could be a phenomenon like pareidolia. So, do you think this is Jesus?
Oh, blessed Jesus, look at that. How many?
They're deeper in the clouds. It's so hard to see.
I came outside and I seen that up the Pastor, they're real clear in here, look.
Yeah, you can see them, can't you?
Look at that.
Yeah.
First of all, if this clip is real, it wouldn't be anybody called Jesus because Jesus didn't exist. His name was actually Yeshua. A mother took a simple photograph of her son, but when the picture was developed, she noticed something. Behind the boy stood the faint, hazy outline of a taller figure with its head bent downward as if it were staring right at him. Unlike the boy, this figure didn't look solid. Its body seemed misty and blurred. The mother says no one else was in the frame at the time the picture was taken. So what could it be? Some explorers visited an abandoned nursing home, curious to see what was left behind. While they were inside, standing on the old staircase, they suddenly heard strange noises coming from the floor above them. They pointed their camera upward, expecting maybe a rat or a bird, but instead, they captured something far stranger. A dark, shadowy figure was walking slowly away from the stairwell before disappearing down the hall. This building has been empty for years. Some people think it may have once housed patients who were mistreated or passed away under grim circumstances. Because of that, many believe it's a hot spot for paranormal activity. So did they film an actual ghost, or was it just a shadow in a creepy old building? AI glasses are quickly becoming a thing, and at the San Diego Zoo, visitors were given a chance to try out a new kind of AI eyewear. The idea was that the glasses would identify each animal you looked at and instantly display its name and details. But according to some of the visitors, what they saw through the glasses was something else. They claimed that when they put the glasses on, the animals didn't look like themselves anymore. Their forms appeared distorted, their shapes shifting into something monstrous. One man reportedly asked the AI what exactly he was looking at, and the glasses allegedly responded that it was a demon from the spiritual realm. So what does that even mean? Many argue that if this story is true, the glasses should have recorded what the wearer was seeing. Others believe the entire thing might have been staged. But if it wasn't, then what does that mean? That AI technology could actually perceive the spiritual realm?
This is where it gets a little bit eerie, because when they looked at these animals, such as they were looking at a tiger, it did not look like a tiger. It looked, what they said, like some sort of weird demonic creature. And then they asked the AI, what am I looking at? And it identified it as a scary demonic creature.
Humans aren't built to run backwards naturally. Sure, there are some athletes or performers who can do it briefly as a skill or stunt, but it's not something most people can do smoothly or at high speed. That's why this footage shocked people when they started circulating it online. In the video, someone is filming late at night when they see a woman in a white nightgown barefoot out in the dark. At first, it seems odd enough to see someone like that, but then you notice she isn't just walking, she's moving backwards, not just shuffling awkwardly either, but running at a steady, almost effortless pace. The person recording follows her for a moment, and she's still running backwards in that same eerie, fluid motion. This has sparked all kinds of speculation online. Some are convinced the woman isn't even human but a supernatural being disguising itself as a person. Others think it's a simple trick. The footage was recorded normally, then reversed to make it appear she was running backward. The way her movements look so smooth almost supports that theory. Even if it was reversed, her posture, her speed, and the fact that she's alone at night, that strange outfit gives the whole scene a disturbing, dreamlike quality. This is another update on the Panama man who went viral claiming he'd picked up a meteorite and somehow ended up sending an alien back home. For weeks, people followed his strange journey, curious about what was really going on, but now things have taken a darker turn. His entire TikTok account has disappeared without a trace, and this has left many of his followers deeply concerned about his safety. Before his account was removed, he uploaded what has now become his final video. In it, he sits in his living room blasting music while calmly holding the small creature in his palm. The footage is unsettling, not only because of the bizarre nature of the being itself, but also because of the man's strange casual behavior. He handles it gently, almost like a pet. And then, just like that, he was gone. No more posts, no explanations and updates, just vanished. This has fueled a wave of theories online. Some believe this is a case of the men in black stepping in to silence him before he could reveal too much. Others think the creature itself might have been dangerous and could have turned on him. A smaller group believes he staged everything, and deleting the account was part of keeping the mystery alive. But the truth is, nobody really knows. All we have left is that eerie final video of a man playing music with something strange sitting in his hand. So is he okay? A man had gone to stay at his grandparents' old home. He was the only one there on the property, and it was quiet. When he finally settled into bed for the night, that quietness began to feel different. He started to feel uneasy, like he wasn't really alone. As he tried to brush the feeling off, the door to his room began to move slowly and creaked open. Feeling a chill creep up his spine, he got out of bed and went to the door. To be safe, he locked the door, hoping that would keep whatever it was from coming in. But the uneasiness didn't leave. He couldn't shake the feeling that something unseen was moving through the house watching him. Old houses can creak, doors can shift, and wind can make strange sounds, but there's something different about moments like this, when you're alone in a place. Do you think that was just the old house settling, or something else? One of the oldest vampire legends says they sleep in coffins, and it's a myth most of us brush off as folklore. But in Ohio, a maintenance man stumbled on something that spooked him. He'd been called to do some routine work in the basement of an old house, and when he got there, he caught something strange. This coffin is standing perfectly upright. Why would anyone keep a coffin like that in a basement, and vertical no less? He didn't dare open it and left without answers. Now the internet is buzzing with speculation. Was it some strange art project, a secret burial tradition, or did he stumble upon the resting place of a vampire? I think I've said this before, but did anybody watch the 1970s version of Salem's Lot when you were little? Well, that kind of reminds me of that, with the big doors that go down into the basement and the coffin that's... I'm gonna shut up. Now, what we have here in this clip is honestly wild. A very strange-looking goat-like creature, but it's not your average goat at all. This thing is huge and is easily the size of a horse, but it's got an unusually long neck for its body. On top of its head are these massive twisted horns that spiral like a unicorn's horn. Its face almost looks deformed at first glance, but that's actually not the case. This isn't some mutant or CGI monster, it's a real living animal. We're not gonna spoil the name just yet though. You guys have to guess for yourselves in the comments section what you think this creature is. Whoever gets it right will get a shout out in the next episode. A man was sitting quietly in his living room one night when he began hearing strange noises behind the couch. It wasn't loud, just enough to make him uneasy, so he turned his phone camera on thinking it might be his dog playing with something. But when he rounded the couch, he saw something he would never forget. A Woody doll standing upright on its own by his dog, and it's perfectly balanced. As soon as the doll seems to realize it's been seen, it fell over onto the floor. The man's dog wasn't holding onto it, there were no strings or wires available, no one else was in the room. So was it just a coincidence that the doll was teetering and toppling at the exact moment he looked, or was it a Toy Story situation where the doll only moves when humans aren't watching? If true, this wouldn't be the first time people have claimed that certain dolls or figurines can move on their own, especially in older houses. Whether it was physics, nerves, or something paranormal, the timing of this movement was undeniably chilling. The things we once laughed off as ridiculous or impossible now seem to make a strange kind of sense as time goes by. One of those ideas is reincarnation. Many cultures have spoken about it for centuries, but in today's world, we're starting to hear more and more unsettling stories that make you wonder if it's real. Take this woman's experience with her 2-year-old daughter. Out of nowhere, during what should have been an ordinary day, the little girl began talking about things no toddler should have known. She calmly said she once had a family of her own, but they all died from a terrible plague. The mother was stunned by how her child could know about such things. She also noticed that as her daughter grew, her personality traits seemed to fit the story. The girl hated being alone, always wanting to be surrounded by people. She didn't like quiet or isolation, almost as if some deep part of her remembered a time of extreme loneliness. The mother became convinced that her child was recalling fragments of a past life. Whether you believe in reincarnation or not, there's something haunting about hearing such things from the mouth of a 2-year-old. Some dismiss it as pure imagination, but others believe that these are real past lives pushing through into the present.
So years go by, and each time she would go through really sad days where we would be doing something and maybe it brought back a memory, or she'd have like a glazed look on her face and a recollection would come back, and she would tell me about it. And so what I was able to gather basically is that she lived during a plague time, and her town got knocked out. She lost a lot of neighbors in her family. Her mom died first, and then her dad died, and then it was just her and her little sister for a while, and then her little sister died, and then she was all alone. And that makes sense now, because this kid now, she needs to be around all the time. She is a living room kid. She wants to always be around someone. She wants someone to play with. She likes companionship. She hates being alone. It's her biggest thing.
A cat owner had been traveling and set up a pet camera at home to keep an eye on her cat. One night, while winding down for bed, she decided to check the live feed to see what a furry friend was up to. The cat sat calmly in the living room, but then she noticed that the cat wasn't acting like itself. Its eyes were locked on the open doorway. Clearly, it was seeing something she couldn't. So she stared at the screen until she saw it too. In the doorway stood a strange whitish figure, faint, almost translucent. As she watched in horror, what looked like a hand began to slide slowly up the doorframe, and then it started to fade, slowly dissolving into the air. At first, she thought she had just caught an intruder on camera, but the more she replayed the footage, the less human it looked. There was no face and no real outline. It wasn't an intruder you could call in. So what was it? A patient went to the doctor after complaining that their eye had been itching and irritating them for days. At first, it sounded like a simple infection or maybe an allergy, but when the doctor placed a sample under the microscope, what they discovered was enough to make anyone shudder. Slithering within the tissue of the eye were tiny worms wriggling and moving around. The doctor confirmed that these were fly larvae. The patient had essentially become host to living parasites feeding and growing inside their own eye. This condition is known as ophthalmomiosis. It's an infestation of the eye by fly larvae, and while horrifying, it's been documented in parts of the world where certain flies lay their eggs on or near humans. Once hatched, the larvae burrow into the soft tissues, and in this case, the patient's eye became their chosen environment. Remember this viral face, the bony, skeletal Angelina Jolie look-alike that shocked the internet a few years ago? Millions of people were horrified that someone would go to such extremes just to resemble a celebrity. For a long time, many believed this was the result of radical plastic surgery, but later, the truth came out that the woman behind those viral images was actually Sahar Tabar, a 19-year-old from Iran. And it wasn't surgery at all. Sahar revealed that her look was just makeup and Photoshop edits for the internet. She said it was all for fun. But the authorities didn't see it that way. Iran cracked down hard. They charged her with corruption of young people and disrespecting the Islamic religion, and was sentenced to 10 years in prison. What started as internet shock content ended up ruining a young girl's life, and that's what's chilling. The photos may have been fake, but the consequences were very, very real. Now, should someone face years behind bars for posting creepy edits online, or was this more about making an example out of her? We've all heard the long-standing theory that modern humans originated in Africa, which is known as the out-of-Africa model. For decades, it's been the dominant explanation of where we come from, backed by genetic evidence and fossil discoveries. But now, a new wave of research is shaking that foundation. In China, scientists recently reconstructed a Denisovan skull, a member of an ancient human lineage once thought to be confined to Siberia and parts of Southeast Asia. This particular skull, however, was traced directly to East Asia and China. If this finding holds up, it could mean something extraordinary. Human evolution may not have been a one-way migration out of Africa. Instead, there may have been multiple origin points, with some ancient populations developing in Asia alongside others in Africa. So could we all be carrying hidden genetic traces of ancient humans from the mountains and caves of East Asia? And if so, how much of what we've been taught about our beginnings is only part of a much larger, more complex picture? A family in Phoenix shared this footage they took one night while hanging out in the backyard. Up in the dark sky, there was these strange crafts gliding silently across the horizon. They looked like the classic saucer-shaped UFOs. Now, Phoenix isn't exactly new to this kind of story. It's the same city where the legendary Phoenix Lights happened back in the 90s, which was one of the biggest UFO sightings in US history. So of course, people are already asking the question again, are these just planes, drones, or satellites distorted by night filming, or is Phoenix once again at the center of something not from this world? What was this? Someone films these strange things floating high up in the sky. At first, they look like long rope-like shapes across parts of the sky. They don't appear to be falling or drifting like normal debris or balloon strings would. Instead, they seem to be slithering with intention rather than simply blowing in the wind. There are also smaller ones. People who have seen the footage are confused because there's no clear explanation. They aren't acting like drones, parachutes, or any kind of man-made material. Some are speculating it might be some kind of rare atmospheric phenomenon, Others think it could be living organisms in the upper atmosphere, while a few believe it might even be an alien. Whatever it is, the footage has left people unsettled because it truly doesn't behave like anything familiar in the sky. Someone shared their home doorbell camera footage. It was late at night, the porch was dark except for the faint glow of the security light, when out of nowhere this bright glowing shape appeared. It wasn't a normal light flare or a bug passing by the camera. This thing seemed to have form like a mist. The footage shows it slowly floating closer to the porch from the darkness. Then it hovered at the bottom of the stairs, pausing there. Moments later, the glow began to ascend the steps slowly as though climbing toward the door before it faded and vanished completely. People watching the clip are divided. Some think it's an insect reflecting the light or a speck of dust close to the lens, while others are convinced it's something paranormal like a spirit or ghost trying to enter the house. The way it moved and disappeared is what's really unsettling. What are your thoughts? Some guys out in the middle of nowhere stumbled upon a hole in the ground. Curious, they tied a rope and climbed down, and what they found below wasn't just a small cave. It led into a massive underground tunnel system, walls lined with strange markings and faded paintings. Finally, they reached this room with statues lined up. Some were human bodies with wings, one was an inverted cross, and this we know is a symbol often tied to dark rituals and satanic imagery. So, was this just an abandoned religious chamber, or had they accidentally discovered a true underground satanic temple hidden from the world? One of the most controversial theories online is the petrification theory. People who believe in it claim that many of the strange mountain formations, cliffs, or even oddly shaped boulders that we see today aren't just natural rock, but actually the fossilized remains of ancient beings. This footage shows these huge, almost humanoid-looking faces on the side of a mountain. They're massive, far bigger than anything a person could carve with ease, and they seem to have features like eyes, noses, and mouths if you look at them from the right angle. People who support the idea think these faces are remnants of ancient giant beings who somehow became petrified and are now part of the landscape. Skeptics, on the other hand, argue it's pure pareidolia and that erosion, weather, and rock fractures can easily create shapes that look like facial features from a distance. If the theory is true, it will rewrite history as we know it, but as of now, there's no solid evidence beyond photographs and videos like this. These two people are in a room, one woman sitting calmly on the couch working on a laptop, while a boy next to her is immersed in a VR headset with controllers in his hands. Everything seems normal at first, but then if you focus on the wall just behind the couch, there's a bookshelf. On that shelf, something strange is happening. You can see something shifting slightly. It's a doll. The doll begins rotating slowly like an invisible hand is turning it. Out of nowhere, a book suddenly drops from the shelf and hits its floor. The woman notices the book, screams, and bolts out of the room, clearly terrified. What's unsettling is how natural the whole scene feels. There's no one else visible in the footage, and the boy in the VR headset is too immersed to be messing with anything. The woman believes that there is a ghost in the house, or at least something there. There are a lot of conspiracies about aliens and other species living amongst us, often disguised through shapeshifting. The believers of such theories also state that they sometimes glitch in and out of their disguises, and we have a clip that might just be proving them right. Take a look. A woman is being filmed, seemingly in a normal setting, perhaps at a public event or in an interview. As the camera focuses on her, something strange begins to happen. Her face starts to distort, glitching back and forth between a human appearance and something else entirely. It's as if a true form is struggling to maintain its disguise. Her features flicker and shift, her eyes change shape, her skin tone alters, and her facial structure appears to momentarily morph into something non-human. It's an unsettling sight, like watching a digital image experiencing interference. Some believe it's clear evidence of shapeshifters among us, possibly aliens trying to blend in with the human population. Others argue it's merely a technical glitch in the video, perhaps caused by faulty equipment or intentional tampering. What do you make of this? As if that weirdness isn't enough, this plant was discovered in India. The plant was noted to be rotating and moving in a natural way without any wind or human interaction. At first, the citizens thought it was some sort of spiritual intervention and started to put offerings around it, turning it into a shrine of sorts. They believed it was a sign from the gods, an omen, or perhaps a guardian spirit. But as the movement continued, even they were shocked and puzzled. They invited a geologist to examine it, hoping for a scientific explanation, but even the geologist was stumped, unable to provide any answers. It wasn't influenced by any known environmental factors, and its movements didn't match any known plant behavior. I'm not that scientifically inclined, but why a geologist? Some thought it could be a rare, undiscovered species with unique properties. Others believed it might be an elaborate hoax, though no evidence supported this. A few even theorized that it could be influenced by some unknown underground currents or magnetic fields. Despite the investigations and theories, its true nature remains unknown. I guess some things just cannot be explained. What do you think could be causing this strange phenomenon? Could it be a natural wonder, a spiritual sign, or something entirely different? This massive 1,000-pound octopus allegedly washed up on the shore, and while there isn't much context to the footage, you can see people moving around the enormous creature, seemingly unsure of what to do with it. They might be contemplating whether to push it back into the ocean or transport it elsewhere, but the sheer size of the octopus is striking. It's hard to say if the footage is legitimate or AI-generated because the creature does look real. The texture of the skin, the way the tentacles lay on the ground, and the surrounding environment don't immediately suggest anything fake. However, with advancements in technology, especially AI-generated content, it can be tricky to distinguish between the two sometimes. If it's real, this is a rare and astounding find. A creature of that size would certainly draw attention, but it also raises questions. How did it end up ashore? What conditions led to this happening? Could it have been sick, or is this part of some larger environmental change? What do you think? Legit footage or a clever digital creation? An avid hiker who was exploring the Canadian wilderness. As he trekked through the rugged terrain, he noticed a peculiar gap in one of the mountain structures. Something about this gap seemed off, so he decided to take out his camera and film as he approached it. And that's when he saw it. Inside the gap, something was staring back at him. It was a creature of some sort with a pale face, very large black eyes, and unusually large forehead. Strangely, it didn't have a noticeable nose. The hiker was so taken aback by what he saw that he didn't stick around to investigate further. Naturally, we're left wondering what the creature is. The footage doesn't give us a clear answer, but it certainly raises a lot of questions. Could this be some unknown species, or perhaps a being from another world? I guess it's one of those things we'll never really have an answer to. This next image was taken by a cinema attendant before the movies had begun. He was doing his usual rounds, glancing through the room to make sure that everything was in place and everyone was seated properly. That's when he caught a glimpse of something truly unsettling. From the far end of the room, sitting next to a little boy, was an extremely pale woman. Her paleness was striking. It wasn't just her skin, but her clothes too, which were the same color as her skin. The most disturbing part was that this figure looked very ghost-like, almost transparent. There's no additional context provided, so we don't know if this eerie figure vanished before the movie started or stayed throughout. But one thing's for sure, this image is very unsettling.
What the hell was that?
A man driving through Florida witnessed something strange in the sky. Hidden behind the clouds was a large shadow that moved swiftly in a way that resembled the wings of a massive bird. It was fast, so fast that you could easily miss it if you weren't paying close attention. Now, this doesn't seem like a typical UFO sighting. Instead, it appears to be something far more mysterious. The shadow passed several times, hinting that something enormous could have been lurking behind the clouds. Could this have been some gigantic creature or a natural phenomena playing tricks on the eye? Some connect it to a legend of massive birds or cryptids, while others think it's just an illusion caused by the light and clouds. What say you?
What the hell was that?
Hey, big storm last night, Destin, Florida. These sharks' teeth are everywhere. Look, there's one. There's another one too. They're everywhere, man. Everywhere.
Recently, a storm hit Destin, Florida, and after the storm passed, a man was seen collecting these giant black objects from a puddle of water. They looked like enormous teeth, much bigger than his own head. Naturally, this raised a lot of questions. If these are indeed teeth, then the creature they came from must have been colossal. But the real mystery is whether these teeth belong to some massive creature still living in the waters, or if the storm simply washed in ancient remains from the deep sea or a long-forgotten time. Some speculate that these teeth could be from a prehistoric creature like a MacLeod, whose remnants may have been unearthed by the storm's fury. The size of these teeth suggests something massive and ancient, leaving many wondering if the waters around Florida are hiding more secrets than we know.
These sharks' teeth are everywhere. Look, there's one. There's another one too. They're everywhere, man.
I keep saying this, nature is very powerful. Just take a look at this footage. The ground literally cracked and separated into two. Despite the seriousness of what happened, the people standing around seem rather excited about it, cheering as the earth moves. It's incredible to watch. Just look at that, Mother Nature in her element. What you're seeing here are tectonic plates in action. Tectonic plates are massive slabs of Earth's crust that move and interact with each other. Their movements can cause earthquakes, volcanic eruptions, and the formation of mountains and ocean trenches. This particular footage showcases the sheer force and power of these geological processes. It's both awe-inspiring and a little terrifying to see the ground split like that. Nature is truly powerful and always full of surprises. As a fisherman was going through his catch for the day, he came across this wiggling creature in his net. It was a bizarre sight, a creature made up entirely of tentacles all wiggling and squirming. At first glance, it looked like a bundle of dried tree roots, but it was very much alive, moving in a way that was both fascinating and unsettling. The fisherman, perplexed by his unusual find, recorded the creature and shared it online, sparking a flurry of speculation. Some viewers suggested it could be a rare species of marine life previously undiscovered or seldom seen. Others wondered if it might be a mutated creature affected by pollution or other environmental factors. Adding to the intrigue, marine biologists who examined the footage were divided. Some proposed it could be a type of polychaete worm or a mass of intertwined sea cucumbers, while others remained stumped, suggesting further investigation was needed. Has any of you seen anything like this, or at least know what it is? Kindly let us know in the comments section.
So we just seen this, thought we'd share it with you guys. I've never seen anything like this in my life.
It's a real vivid circle rainbow around the sun, but then there's a second rainbow.
This video was taken in southern Oregon at a park, and what appeared in the sky is truly mesmerizing. There are not one, but two completely rainbow perfect circles. The smaller one sits perfectly inside the larger one, creating an incredible sight that almost looks too perfect to be real. Rainbows are typically seen as arcs, but under certain conditions, such as when viewed from a high vantage point like an aeroplane, or when the sun is at the right angle, a full circle rainbow could be visible. However, seeing two complete circles like this one within the other is extremely rare. Have you ever seen anything like this? Share your experience.
So we just seen this, thought we'd share it with you guys. I've never seen anything like this in my life.
It's a real vivid circle rainbow around the sun, but then there's a second rainbow.
What's this? Oh, this is cool. Whoa, holy
A man set up an interesting little project in his house. He took a glass cup, placed the stem of a plant in it, added some white and clear pebbles, and filled it with water. It looked like he was trying to grow something, a simple, peaceful little setup, but what he didn't expect was what happened next. To his surprise, a tiny fish started swimming around in the cup. This was like after months that he had made it, and he just noticed the fish. The strange part, this fish is completely transparent, almost invisible, and he's no idea where it came from. It wasn't something he placed in the cup, and it definitely wasn't part of his original plan. The man is baffled, and now he's left wondering, what kind of fish is this and how did it get there? Could it have somehow emerged from the plant or the pebbles? Is it some kind of rare or unknown species? Or is there a more ordinary explanation that he's overlooking? If anyone out there knows what type of fish this could be or how it might have appeared in the cup, we'd love to hear your thoughts.
This is cool. Whoa, holy
Next, we've got a security cam footage. Take a look. Two men were going down a flight of stairs when, out of nowhere, one of them fell to the ground and started swaying his arms and legs. The other man, clearly startled, rushes to drag his friend off the ground, and they both run back up the stairs in a panic. Now let's take a closer look at the footage and see what really happened. There, a dark figure appears from the lower stairs and attacks one of the men. You can see it clearly, a ghostly figure emerging from the shadows. The men had no idea what hit them. One moment, they were calmly descending the stairs, and the next, they were fleeing for their lives from an otherworldly entity. The eerie figure seems to materialize out of thin air, targeting the man on the ground before vanishing as quickly as it appeared. What could this be? a ghostly apparition, some sort of malevolent spirit, the footage is truly chilling, and it's hard to deny that something supernatural seems to be at play here. The man who fell was visibly shaken, and the way they both bolted back up the stairs shows how terrifying the encounter was. Julius, however, disagrees with this assertion and thinks that the men are bad actors and this is staged. What say you? What do we have here? A strange-looking woman filming herself talking, but when you look closely at her facial features, there's something very odd about her appearance. Her head is wider at the forehead and narrows significantly at the chin. Her eyes are unusually small and her nose bridge is very flat with prominent nostrils. She looks like one of those gray aliens, but with a human-like appearance. Very bizarre. It's almost as if she's a blend between human and alien features. The uncanny resemblance to the typical depiction of extraterrestrial beings is unsettling. I don't want to judge people on their looks, but even I can't deny the resemblance. Could she be an alien in disguise, or perhaps someone who has undergone extreme cosmetic surgery? Maybe it's just a unique genetic condition that gives her such distinctive features. Here we have another swarm of insects, this time captured by a man working out in a field. Just look at that. This happened in Texas. The sight alone is overwhelming, but the sound is even more unsettling. You can hear the swarm buzzing loudly, almost like a roar, as if moving through the air. It's as if the entire field is alive with these insects, creating a scene that's both fascinating and terrifying. Swarming insects like this are not uncommon, especially in warmer climates, but witnessing it up close like this is something else entirely. The sheer number of them, combined with that intense buzzing sound, makes for an experience that's hard to forget. How long do you keep your earphones in and your phone plastered to your ear while on a call? You might want to listen to what this man has to say.
iPhones, when most people put it to their head, up to 2 hours later, 1/2 to 3/4 of an inch into the brain tissue is still heated.
He claims that the heat from our devices is causing ear tumors. According to him, prolonged exposure to the electromagnetic radiation emitted by our phones can lead to neoplastic activity, which is essentially the formation of tumors. It makes you think, doesn't it? Now, it seems like everything we use daily is potentially toxic and harmful to us. We rely so heavily on our devices, but at what cost? Is it worth risking our health for the convenience and connectivity that these gadgets provide? This is definitely something to consider the next time you pick up your phone or pop in your earphones for an extended call.
Tissue is still heated from using the phone against your ear. And when you repeatedly heat those things, then tissue actually starts to become neoplastic. We have a pair of surgeons here in town in Dallas. They're busy 5 days a week, booked every single day, all day, taking out parotid gland tumors from people having AirPods, Bluetooth devices, because it's actually causing neoplastic activity. So EMFs absolutely decrease life expectancy.
Here we have another bizarre sea creature captured by a fisherman. It's a pinkfish, fleshy organism with no visible limbs or eyes. It moves in a wriggling motion, much like a maggot. The ocean is a very mysterious place, hiding countless unknown and strange creatures within its depths. I mean, just look at this thing. Its texture is smooth and rubbery, almost alien-like in appearance. Some speculate that it could be a type of sea cucumber, given its soft body and lack of appendages. For those unfamiliar, sea cucumbers are known for their unusual shapes and movements, so it wouldn't be surprising if this creature belonged to that category. However, others think it might be something else entirely different, perhaps an undiscovered species. Wild, I know, but what do you think? Abandoned houses are abandoned for a reason, and most of the time they become hotspots for paranormal activities and strange creature sightings. In this footage, a man ventures into the woods to explore an abandoned house. Before he could even get closer to the house, he saw something on the roof. It was a creature with glowing eyes moving about. Because it was dark, the rest of its features are hard to make out, but you can see its notable shoulders and a pair of human-like arms. The creature appears to be crouched and moving on all fours based on its movements. As the adventurer approached, the creature noticed him and began to move aggressively on the roof, almost as if it were warning him to stay away. Aaron, our conspiracy theorist, thinks this creature is a rake because of its glowing eyes and human-like shoulders. On the other hand, Julius is adamant that it's just a hoax and that it's a man in a costume. Who are you guys going on this one, Julius or Aaron? Let me know in the comments section.
Moving on, we visit Venezuela for our next clip. Just in case it was not clear already, what you are seeing is a bird sitting on a power line. This was allegedly recorded by a lady who looked out of her window and saw the unusual-looking bird right outside her home. The low quality of the footage coupled with the white look gives the bird a pre-rendered look, which is basically what
3D objects look like digitally before they're worked on and perfected. She believes it's either a bruja or brujo. For those not familiar with the term, a bruja, which is female, or brujo, which is male, is a Spanish term for a witch or sorcerer, traditionally found in Latin America and Spanish cultures. These figures are believed to possess supernatural powers, often associated with magic, healing, or spiritual practices. Once she uploaded the clip, opinions were divided. Some shared similar experiences, whereas others called her out for attempting to deceive them. I have my own reservations about this, but I would love to hear your opinions. What do you think is going on here? Back in 1971, a group of friends ventured into the Sierra Nevada mountains for a camping trip. While they were out there, they captured some truly eerie sounds that have since become known as the Sierra Sounds or Sierra Tapes. Take a listen. These recordings have fascinated researchers and enthusiasts alike for decades, and many believe they are the legitimate vocalizations of Bigfoot. The sounds are a mix of whoops, growls, and a strange chattering that seems too complex to be from any known animal in the area. Skeptics, of course, argue that the tapes could have been fabricated or may simply be misidentified wildlife, but for those who studied them, the tone, pitch, and patterns of the sound suggest something far more mysterious. Could these really be the elusive Bigfoot trying to communicate? Let's look at this crazy footage that was retrieved from the kitchen of a Chinese restaurant. In the video, you can see chefs busily cooking and moving up and down the kitchen when all of a sudden, something bizarre happens. One of the chefs, who's cooking over a large pot, has his legs slide backwards and upwards, causing him to slip and fall to the floor. It's important to mention that this man was handling a large cooking pot, and the slightest mistake could have resulted in serious burns, but luckily that didn't happen. Now let's focus on his fall. It looks as if an invisible force lifted his feet off the ground backward. None of the other chefs seemed to notice except for the one cooking beside him, and they both looked utterly shocked. Some comments on the video suggested the fall was probably due to slippery floors, maybe from oil spilt on the ground. However, skeptics believe there's something more to it, possibly an entity messing with the man. What do you think? Was this just a case of a slippery floor, or could there be an unseen force at play? The theory that we live in a matrix-like computer simulation may seem bizarre and hard to believe. However, numerous encounters and accounts continually support this idea, prompting us to question the nature of our reality. Take this footage, for example, captured by a couple out for a walk with their 3 dogs in England. And no, this isn't edited. According to the couple, their 3 dogs suddenly froze mid-run, and as you can see in the video, it's eerie because when you look closely, the plants and leaves are still rustling in the breeze, but the dogs are completely immobile. This bizarre state lasted for about 4 minutes. The couple was in shock, unsure of what to do or how to help their pets. Then, out of nowhere, a bird flew by, breaking whatever spell or glitch it was, and the dogs started moving again as if nothing had happened. What's particularly strange is how specific and isolated the glitch appeared to be. The world around the dogs continued as usual. Trees swayed, grass moved, and the couple themselves could walk and talk, but the dogs were caught in this inexplicable freeze. It's almost as if part of the code controlling the dogs' movements momentarily malfunctioned. This incident isn't an isolated one either. There have been numerous reports of similar occurrences where animals or even people seem to glitch or freeze in time, leading many to speculate about the nature of our reality. Are we truly living in a meticulously programmed simulation where occasional bugs and glitches reveal the underlying code? Let's think about this. If our reality is a complex system like a computer simulation, then such glitches could be akin to software bugs. And just like in any software, these bugs can manifest in various ways, sometimes causing strange and unexplainable phenomena. Now, everything I've said seems logical, paranormally, right? Well, Julius laughed at me. He told me these dogs are visualists, and my so-called glitch in the Matrix is nothing more than them pointing to let their owners know there is a bird or possibly prey around. Now, this sounds a lot more sensible than everything I said earlier. Does any of you have or know someone who has had any of these dogs? Have you really seen them do this? Let me know in the comments section. I really want to prove the know-it-all Julius wrong. We hear a lot of conspiracies surrounding ancient technology, with many speculating that advanced tech existed centuries ago. Over time, several artifacts have surfaced that seem to support these claims. One of the more mysterious discoveries happened years ago in Mexico, when deep-sea researchers stumbled upon something truly extraordinary. While exploring an underwater cave system in the ocean, they came across a massive cave with hundreds of openings. Inside one of these caves, they discovered a human skull. Curious, they retrieved the skull and handed it over to experts for examination. The experts expected many things, but finding a microchip embedded in something that ancient was not one of them. Although this discovery wasn't elaborated on further, many believe that the chip is evidence of some kind of advanced technology that was possibly used by people in the distant past. Could this be proof that ancient civilizations were far more advanced than we've ever imagined? A chunk of the internet believes so. Others also think such beliefs are ludicrous, to say the least. What do you think? While you share your thoughts on that one, we travel back in time to Northern California on New Year's Day 2020, where this unusual photo was taken. Imagine you're hiking through the remote, towering peaks of Northern California on New Year's Day 2020. The air is crisp, the sky expansive, and the isolation of the trail is almost palpable. Then, out of the corner of your eye, you catch sight of something strange. A tall, dark figure looming just over the ridgeline. That's exactly what happened to the lady who captured and shared this image online. Naturally, this has stirred up quite the debate online, with everyone chipping in their thoughts and feelings. Some in the community analyzed the image and were struck by the size of the figure. By comparing its height to the surrounding geography, they estimated it to be around 7 to 8 feet tall, which makes it a massive creature by any standard. Zooming in makes the image even more interesting. The figure appears to have distinct facial features, including a conical head, which is a characteristic often associated with Sasquatch sightings. Some skeptics suggest it could just be a black bear with its posture and movement distorted by the camera angle. But the silhouette, when scrutinized, seems to align more with the descriptions of a Sasquatch than a bear. Aaron believes it's more Sasquatch than bear, whereas Julius thinks there's not much to go on with considering the quality of the image. Naturally, other team members who were also big fat enthusiasts felt this is a good capture of the big guy. I would sit on the fence for this one, but I've laid out the facts and I'm curious to know what you think. Care to share in the comments section.
Miren, miren cómo va pasando. ¡A la verga! No mames, pasó.
A ver, mándalo. La sombra.
Sí, pasó. Ahora se puso de este lado y le atravesó todo el teléfono. No mames.
A family visited the altar of a deceased relative during a funeral, and one of them was filming when something unusual occurred. A dark shadow moved across the camera lens right in front of the altar, moving from left to right. They all saw it happen. Then a moment later it happened again, the shadow passing from right to left once more. The family believes this shadow might be the spirit of their loved one, making a final visit to say goodbye before leaving the earthly realm for good. What do you think? Have you ever experienced anything similar?
Miren, miren cómo va pasando. ¡A la verga! No mames, pasó.
A ver, mándalo. La sombra.
Sí, pasó. Ahora se puso de este lado y le atravesó todo el teléfono. No mames.
A woman driving on a South Carolina highway caught some strange lights moving in the clouds above. Oddly enough, another person recorded the same lights at LaGrange, Georgia, showing these mysterious orbs dancing through the sky. Many believe it could be a UFO, while others have a different theory. One commenter mentioned it might just be a spotlight, similar to the ones used nightly in Niagara Falls, Canada, which cast beams spinning around the sky. So what do you think? Are we looking at an extraterrestrial visitor, or just some impressive stage lighting? The original poster of the footage mentioned that this was caused by a lightning strike. In the video, you can see a forest with trees, and out of nowhere, a patch of the ground lights up in a bright orange glow. As the light fades, smoke begins to rise from the tree. The strange thing is that you don't actually see any lightning strike, which is surprising, just this sudden burst of light. Then I noticed the comments, and they took a different turn. Many people were suggesting that this wasn't a natural lightning strike at all. Some were claiming it could be a directed energy weapon, while others thought it might be some kind of laser weapon. For those who don't know, a A DEW is a type of weapon that emits highly focused energy, including lasers, microwaves, or particle beams, to damage or destroy its target. Unlike traditional weapons, DEWs don't rely on physical projectiles. They use energy to cause damage, which makes them silent and difficult to detect until the impact occurs. So is this a DEW, as people are speculating, or is this really just lightning?
Por eso es muy importante durante el entrenamiento y cuando firman el juramento que ellos están confirmando que no van a ser partidistas.
In this video, something truly bizarre happens during a live news interview. As the reporter speaks to the camera, a man suddenly appears out of nowhere right behind the woman being interviewed. The atmosphere around him seems to ripple or wobble as if he just stepped out of some sort of portal or dimensional rift. It's as if he wasn't there one moment and then in the blink of an eye he materialized out of thin air. The way the air seems to distort around him is really strange, like the fabric of reality itself was disturbed. This has left many people wondering, did this man just time travel? Did he step through a portal from one dimension? Or is there some other explanation for this eerie phenomenon? In this unsettling footage from a home surveillance camera, we see a figure emerge from the darkness of the forest into the front yard. This person appears disoriented, lingering near the edge of the trees. For a while, he remains just outside the house, and then he begins mumbling to himself, his voice low and incoherent. At one point, you can hear him start to cry and make strange noises, almost as if he's experiencing something deeply disturbing. He then crouches to the ground, letting out strange grunting sounds. The footage continues, but we'll stop it here. When the family reviewed this clip, they were understandably shaken. They had no idea who this man could be or what he might have been doing near their home. Some viewers have speculated that he could be possessed, while others believe he might be suffering from a mental health crisis. What do you think? Is this a case of possession, or is it something else entirely? I'm not sure where this footage was taken, but it was filmed late at night. The entire sky glowed a deep red with a faint arc stretching across it, almost like a rainbow, but with the colors obscured by the red hue of the sky. Several explanations come to mind in this scene. This could be a red rainbow, which sometimes occurs when the sun is low, causing red wavelengths to dominate as blue and violet are scattered. Another possibility could be a peculiar type of aurora, or, in some cases, light pollution from nearby sources casting a red tint across the sky. It's hard to say for sure what we're dealing with, but what are your thoughts? We've got one of those clips that makes you take a second look to make sure that you were seeing right. Take a look. What do you think that is? We all agree it's not every day you step out and see a strange creature sitting in a tree outside your house. The individual who uploaded this was very confused and perhaps a little scared. She also wanted answers, as she wanted to know if she was safe or had to move. Once it went live, different individuals had different theories on what that might be and what might be going on. Some thought it had to be an otherworldly being observing the individual from the trees, while others thought they were nothing more than mango thieves hiding in the truth when they heard her coming out. Mango thieves sound logical, but those eyes don't look like they belong to a human, at least from my point of view. But then again, you guys have seen the clip, so what do you think? A woman was enjoying a peaceful day at the beach when something caught her eye. Out in the distance, just beyond the breaking waves, she noticed a figure in the water. At first, it seemed like an ordinary swimmer, but as you look closer, you realize this is no human. The creature's upper body was humanoid, with arms that emerged eerily from the water and a head that appeared to scan the shoreline. But then, without warning, it leapt out of the sea, revealing its lower half, a rigid, fish-like tail unlike anything she'd ever seen. The tail wasn't smooth or flowing like that of a dolphin, but instead seemed almost mechanical, stiff, and oddly proportioned to its upper body. As quickly as it had appeared, the creature plunged back into the depths. Was this a glimpse of the mythical mermaid, or perhaps something else entirely? An unknown species that defies explanation. What do you think?
Making hard-boiled eggs, and I don't know if the phone will pick up that, but does it sound like it's chirping?
We all enjoy eating eggs, whether they're cooked, fried, or however you prefer. We know eggs come from birds, and typically we collect them before they've had a chance to incubate and turn into chicks. Well, a woman bought some eggs, placed them in a pot of water, and started to boil them. As the water heated up, she noticed something unusual. There were faint chirping sounds coming from the pan, and one of the eggs seemed to vibrate whenever the chirping happened. The footage ends there, so we don't know what happened next, but it seems like one of those eggs might have already been incubating or partially developed. If that's the case, then the bird in it was definitely trying to escape the heat. That's not a thought I'd like to dwell on. Anyway, have you ever experienced anything like this?
Making hard-boiled eggs, and I don't know if the phone will pick up that, but does it sound like it's chirping?
就拍到一个不知道是什么东西，你来看。
In this intriguing footage from China, a woman captures a mysterious object floating in the sky. The object is rectangular, though it appears almost transparent, blending into the sky as if camouflaged. Faint lines of light seem to run along its edges, creating a glowing outline that's just enough to catch the eye, but still leaves the object partially hidden. The sighting raises some interesting questions. Could this be a cloaked UFO, subtly revealing itself with these lines of light? Or is it some kind of advanced aerial technology, reflecting light in a way that makes it nearly invisible? What do you think this strange object could be?
就拍到一个不知道是什么东西，你来看。
In Antigua, Guatemala, a home security camera captured something truly bizarre during a heavy rainstorm. The camera, angled upward, caught a sky filled with lightning, except this lightning wasn't behaving as you'd expect. Instead of striking downward, it seemed to be diverging upward, almost as if it were originating from a single point below and then spreading out into the sky. It's a strange and unsettling sight, but the unusual phenomenon doesn't end there. Among the bolts of lightning, two glowing orbs appeared, hovering and moving between the flashes. These orbs are often associated with extraterrestrial sightings, raising an intriguing question. Were these orbs somehow linked to the unusual lightning? Could this be evidence of some kind of extraterrestrial activity, or perhaps some advanced technology manipulating natural forces? What do you think? Could these orbs have something to do with the strange lightning display, or is it a natural phenomenon we've yet to fully understand?
son? Like, what? I'm scared to put my phone close to that shit.
While you share your thoughts on that, you should be preparing to do the same with this one too. The individual recording was casually taking a stroll at an undisclosed location when he came across this on the ground. At first, you'd think it's a hole in the ground with something golden lying in it. A few seconds into the clip, and you realize that's not the case at all. The golden bits are actually in motion somehow. It's therefore no surprise that the individual recording exclaims in shock when he gets closer. After recording this, he uploaded it online seeking answers because, well, you get the answer to everything on the internet. It turns out that his case would become one of the few times no one knew anything because everyone was divided. Some thought it was alien, while few others thought it was a portal. There were some who even suggested AI or digital manipulation. You've seen the clip for yourself, so what do you think we're dealing with here?
Is this, son? Like, what? I'm scared to put my phone close to that shit.
This next piece of footage is truly disturbing, and parts of it were even censored due to how graphic it is.
Oh God! No! Oh my God! No! Oh.
A police officer was on patrol late one night when he encountered a woman standing in the middle of the road. Her back was turned to him, and she was wearing a short white robe. But when she turned around, it became much more chilling. She was holding a knife and, to the officer's shock, was repeatedly stabbing herself as she slowly walked toward him. Visibly unsettled, the officer backed up to his car, and you can even see a trail of what looks like blood on the ground. Some people think the footage might be a hoax, but the unsettling nature of it remains the same. What would you have done in a situation like this? Would you try to help or keep your distance?
Oh God! No! Oh my God! No! Oh.
I wasn't even gonna record this video, but I honestly can't even comprehend what I saw last night. I'm out here in the middle of nowhere. I was sleeping, dead asleep last night, above my cab. All of a sudden, I heard something rummaging through my cab. Like, ran. It was on two legs, so it definitely wasn't a bear.
This woman went camping in the woods with her camper van, and on the first night, she saw something unsettling outside. There was a creature rummaging through the bin she had left out. It was walking on two legs, something that seemed eerily human-like. She thought it could be some animal, but the way it moved left her curious and a little unnerved. Determined to capture whatever it was, she set up a camera to film through the night. Hours passed until, late into the night, she finally caught something on film. There, a dark figure, barely visible, moving behind a tree. The camera quality wasn't great, but there was clearly something large shifting through the trees. So what do you think this could be? A Bigfoot, some animal, or maybe something entirely unexpected?
When my firework went up in the sky, this is what I seen.
Did you catch that? No? Well, watch it again. Tell me you saw the face the moment the firework went off. That's definitely not normal and has since caused this clip to go viral. The one who originally recorded this felt he was seeing things, so he uploaded it onto one of our paranormal platforms, soliciting views and opinions from the members of the platform. Many who saw the clip believed that this could be evidence that the gods are up there watching down on us even if we don't see it. There were some who thought that the explanation made no sense and that this had to be a case of pareidolia. For those unfamiliar with the term, pareidolia is a psychological phenomenon where people perceive familiar patterns such as faces, animals, or objects in random or unrelated stimuli. It's a tendency for the brain to interpret vague or abstract forms as recognizable shapes. For example, seeing a face in the clouds, a human figure in a rock formation, or a shape resembling an animal in tree bark are all instances of pareidolia. This occurs because the human brain is wired to identify patterns for survival, especially faces, making it common and natural cognitive response. I also believe that's what could be going on here. But perhaps that's just me. What do you guys think?
When my firework went up in the sky, this is what I seen.
After sharing your thoughts on that, you might want to take a look at this one too. This was uploaded by a homeowner who was reviewing her security cam footage after a large shadow passed by her home. Initially, she thought she was seeing things, so she rushed to her cam to review, and there it was in the recording. But what exactly was she looking at? She claims no large bird or plane had flown by, yet the shadow was pronounced. She suggested it might be a shadow creature, and some in the community agreed with her. Some were, however, skeptical. They felt the clip might have been digitally manipulated. Given the rise in AI and other digital tools, you can't really blame them for thinking so. But you've seen the clip as well. What do you think we're dealing with here? A security camera outside a building captured a bizarre sight one evening. A green mist appeared, hovering right in front of the camera. The people monitoring the footage inside were perplexed, thinking maybe it was a fog or smoke, so they called security to investigate. When they went outside, however, there was nothing unusual, no mist, no fog. It seemed like this green haze was only visible through the camera lens. So what could be causing this? Could it be a paranormal phenomenon, perhaps a spirit or energy only detectable on camera? Or is it a glitch in the camera itself, creating an illusion of something ghostly? This next footage doesn't have a specific location, but it allegedly came from a trail camera set up in a dense forest. Judging by the setup, it looks like a hunter had placed the camera hoping to spot some game. Instead, what the camera captured is truly bizarre. A massive, white-furred creature walked by on two legs. It was almost hidden in the thick fog, but the distinctive white fur stood out enough to be seen. Many viewers are saying this could be a Yeti, similar to Bigfoot's. Yetis are known for their white fur and are typically associated with the mountains of Asia. What do you think, though? Could this really be a Yeti? Did you know many individuals who have come across Bigfoot sightings in places of sleep have always noticed rock stacks? This clip was uploaded to one of our paranormal platforms by Rodney, who stated that he was out exploring and capturing as much of the outdoors as possible. After capturing and recording to his heart's content, he went home to review his work and adventure, and that's when he saw it. Although quite a distance from him, he could see it peeking and hiding in the bushes. Pay attention to the upper left corner, else you might miss it. Now, when this was uploaded, Bigfoot enthusiasts were excited and wouldn't stop talking about it. Those, just like you and I, were skeptical and stated that the quality of the clip was too low to determine if what we were seeing was indeed Bigfoot. But then again, you've seen the clip yourself, so what do you think? When it comes to Bigfoot sightings, we usually hear about an ape-like creature standing around 8 feet tall, almost human-like, covered in hair. However, the image you're looking at right now challenges that common description. This blurry headshot was taken years ago by the late Scott Carpenter, who firmly believed that he had captured footage of a Bigfoot. But here's where it gets interesting. This creature's face doesn't match the typical Bigfoot description. Instead, it has an eerie, almost human-like appearance with features that resemble something wearing an eye mask that covers only the upper half of the face. The chin, mouth, and jaw look distinctly human. Scott Carpenter suggested that Bigfoot might look different depending on where they're from. Could this be true? Are we looking at a regional variation of Bigfoot, or is this something entirely different? What are your thoughts? In this unusual footage captured by a home security camera, a small humanoid figure appears in the backyard in the middle of the night. The creature seems to emerge from near the house and walks across the yard before disappearing from view. Its small stature and humanoid shape have led the homeowner to suspect that it might be a duende. The concept of duendes is popular in Latin American and Iberian folklore, where they're believed to be elusive, tricky beings that sometimes make their presence known to humans. Typically depicted as small, with childlike or exaggerated features, these entities are said to inhabit rural areas, hidden spaces, or in some stories, even within homes. Could this footage really be a duende, or might there be a more rational explanation for the small figure caught on tape? A woman was on her way home when this caught her eye on the ground. It was a small, white, round object with a rough, uneven texture and a faint, eerie glow around it. The object didn't look like any rock or regular mushroom she'd ever seen, so she was left wondering what exactly it was. Was it some rare type of fungus, or maybe something entirely different, like a mysterious mineral or otherworldly substance? What do you think she stumbled upon? A tourist was out camping in the woods of Lancashire, London. Why, you ask? Well, after a long day of hiking, he had to find a spot to stay for the night. As he had his camera rolling, he suddenly felt the unnerving sensation of being followed. When he turned to look behind him, he saw something truly unsettling. A creature covered in thick, dark fur creeping up on him. The creature walked on 2 legs with its face obscured by the shadows, but it was clear that this wasn't a Bigfoot. So what exactly is it? Well, some believe this was a sighting of the elusive Dogman, but given how close this creature was to the man, it raises a chilling question. If this was real, how did the man escape unharmed? This makes me question the authenticity of the footage. What do you think, though? Is this sighting real or just another fake? The person behind the camera was passing by a closed shop with large glass windows. At first glance, you might think those are just stains or spots on the walls and floor, but not. Those are all insects. Would you look at that? Insects are crawling all over the walls and covering the floor like a living carpet. It's hard to tell exactly what kind of insects they are, but the sight is undeniably disturbing. The way they blanket the entire area makes the scene almost surreal, like something out of a horror movie. But you have to ask, why are so many insects gathered in one place? Is it some kind of infestation? Anyone with answers is allowed to educate the rest of us.
near the trees right here. You can see him move in a few seconds. There he goes. As you can see, this Sasquatch was captured on film.
This footage comes straight from Alberta, Canada. The man who captured it initially thought he was seeing a bear standing upright between the trees, so he quickly pulled out his camera to film. But as he continued recording, it became clear this was not a bear at all. The figure stood about 8 feet tall, with a broad, muscular frame and an unusual head shape that didn't resemble any bear. It seemed to be swaying side to side, almost as if trying to get a better look at him from behind the tree, yet it never fully revealed itself. The cautious movement and its upright posture made the man realize he may have captured something far more mysterious. Perhaps even the legendary Bigfoot. Julius doesn't believe the man's story, though, and thinks it's a bad edit. But then again, that's just Julius being Julius. What do you think, though? Could this be the elusive creature, really, that's Bigfoot, lurking in the Alberta wilderness?
As you can see here shortly, he'll start to do the famous sway that they've been known to do.
A man decided to set up an SLS, structured light sensor camera, in his home after experiencing a series of strange activities in his home. Take a look at what he caught on camera. In the footage, there are green stick figure-like shapes moving around the room. The figures resemble human forms mapped out by the camera's sensors. These figures are seen moving around and even appear to be throwing things. But here's where things get really strange. At one point, 2 of the figures vanished, leaving just one that continued to walk around the table. A lot of people believe SLS cameras can capture spirits, yet we tend to think of ghosts as entities that can pass through solid objects. So could this be genuine, or is there more to the story? What do you think?
And here's the screenshot. It's bright enough, I'm sure you'll see it, but I guess I'll probably load it up, I don't know, whatever. There's the screenshot of the video. And here's the zoom in of what he caught in my video. I don't know.
A man on hunting managed to capture footage of a huge creature moving among the trees in the woods. The creature stood upright, walking on 2 legs, with a height estimated to be around 8 feet or more, covered in dark fur, matching the typical description of Bigfoot. Sightings like this continue to fuel the ongoing debate about Bigfoot's existence. Some believe this footage could be definitive proof of the elusive creature, while others remain skeptical, questioning if it could be a bear, a man in a suit, or even a trick of the camera. What's particularly striking in this footage is the creature's height and its bipedal movement. The dark fur and towering frame certainly fit the Bigfoot legend, but the question remains, is this another compelling sighting of the mythical creature or just another case of mistaken identity?
What is this?
While you share your thoughts on that, allow me to ask, have you seen any of the Star Wars films? If you have, do you recognize this? Aaron found this clip online that was allegedly recorded on this planet at an undisclosed location. Looking at the clip, it looks like a desert, a dry area with a few settlements scattered around. On second thought, it does look like a well-planned city. Moving on from that, the star of today's show is the ship flying around. The ship does look alien, and the individual filming is repeatedly heard exclaiming in awe, probably because it's unlike anything she's seen. She uploads it, hoping to find out what it is, and many who saw the clip were rather upset and offended. A few thought it looked cool and futuristic, probably alien. Others felt the person was attempting to insult their intelligence, as this looks very similar to the Millennium Falcon from the Star Wars franchise. If you've watched it, then you certainly recognized it without me having to say anything. But what do you think? Is this really a true capture of an alien ship that looks like the Millennium Falcon somewhere on Earth, or is it someone trying to mislead us for their 5 minutes of fame? Share your thoughts in the comments section.
What is this?
Stepping away from all that, we're introduced to a light-hearted scene here where we see a couple of men playing with a swing. Sure, they're playing rough, but what else can you expect from bros? The scene is interesting enough to make you lose sight of an individual in the background. He appears to be tiptoeing away from the scene, hoping no one will notice him. For the most part, they don't notice him, only when they review the footage later do they actually see him. But let's take a second look at this individual again. Am I the only one who thinks he looks unnaturally slim and tall? When I brought this up, some of my team members thought it might be the Slender Man. Looking at the clip, I get why they think that, and I'm all for it. Not everyone agrees, though. One person states that it's probably someone doing his business in the bushes only to be interrupted by these rowdy men. He tried to get away to avoid being detected. Between the two theories, that seems more believable, but what do you guys think? Have you ever heard of locked-in syndrome? No, it's a neurological condition that's even worse than a coma in some ways. Imagine being completely awake and aware, but unable to move or speak. Your mind is fully functional, but your body is trapped, unable to respond. People with locked-in syndrome can hear everything around them, understand conversations, and even think normally, but they can't move, speak, or react except for small eye movements or blinking in some cases. This condition is usually caused by a stroke, brainstem injury, or certain neurological diseases that damage the part of the brain responsible for movement while leaving cognitive function intact. Many people who suffer from locked-in syndrome are misdiagnosed as being in a coma because they can't physically show that they're aware. Some patients spend years trapped inside their own bodies, unable to communicate that they're conscious. A famous case is Jean-Dominique Bobet, a French journalist who developed locked-in syndrome after a stroke. Despite his condition, he wrote an entire book, The Diving Bell and the Butterfly, by blinking his left eye to select letters one by one. It's a terrifying reality for those who suffer from it. It's heartbreaking to see what's happening in LA right now. The fires are devastating homes, properties, and lives. But like so many things that happen in America, there are some odd details people may not have noticed. In one piece of footage, a woman was near the Palisades area by the coast where some of the fires reportedly started. She saw something strange in the ocean, a submerged object emerging briefly from under the water. She described it as a boat that surfaced momentarily before sinking again, leaving part of itself visible just above the waterline. What could it be? And what are the odds it appeared right where the fires began? In another video, someone was driving through a burning neighborhood, capturing the destruction. You can see a house completely engulfed in flames with a charred car beneath the tree, and yet the tree itself is untouched by the fire. How does that happen? The car is reduced to ashes, but the tree stands intact. Very strange, don't you think? And it gets even weirder. During a live TV broadcast covering the fires, a viewer noticed something unusual, a purple light glowing in the sky. Then off to the right, there was another glowing light, this one blue. What could these lights be? But here's the most bizarre part. In another live broadcast during a bird's eye view of the West Hills area, something zips across the screen. A UFO moving incredibly fast. Watch closely. It's there for just a split second, but it's unmistakable. With all these strange sightings and anomalies, it's clear there is something else going on out there. This footage was taken by a pedestrian in Mexico late at night. He was standing on the side of the road waiting for his vehicle when he noticed something unusual on the overpass ahead. There in the darkness, a pair of red glowing eyes stared back at him. Despite the dim lighting, you could make out the faint outline of a hat, giving the eerie figure a distinct shape. In Mexico, the legend of the Mothman is well known. This was captured in one of the places where this mysterious creature has reportedly been sighting most frequently. The man who captured this footage is convinced that what he saw was, in fact, the infamous Mothman. Do you think this is true? Could this really be the Mothman? Or is there a more grounded explanation? Recent leaks indicate that China has been quietly building massive amphibious assault barges with 120-meter ramps, seemingly designed to offload tanks and troops directly onto Taiwan's shores. These floating platforms, spotted at shipyards in Guangzhou, could bypass Taiwan's heavily defended beaches, creating new landing zones where defenses are weaker. Some experts compare them to the mulberry harbors used in World War II, but with a modern twist. Some have even stabilized legs that anchor them in rough waters. The idea is simple. Instead of fighting their way through fortified beaches, Chinese forces could roll right onto Taiwan's coastline in a surprise move. But here's the catch. These barges are big, slow, and completely exposed. Without air and naval dominance, they'd be sitting ducks. So if these things ever start moving en masse, it would mean China is confident they control the skies and seas. And if we know anything about China, there's nothing they can't do. At least, we're yet to see something they can't do. But why now? And why so suddenly? Some analysts think this is just part of Beijing's psychological warfare, building fear, stretching Taiwan's defenses, and keeping the world guessing. Others see something more ominous, a real, tangible preparation for an invasion, with these barges playing a key role in a multi-phase attack. Satellite images have already shown at least 5 of these vessels in production, and if they're mass-producing them, there's no coincidence. Are we watching the first pieces of an elaborate chess game being placed on a board, or is China simply testing the waters, seeing how the world reacts before making its next move? When this clip started, I was like, a car? Well, that's nice and a good change. Well, that was until the camera zoomed right past the vehicle into the skies, and that's when I saw it. A familiar sight. It looked like a light bar in the sky with the lights moving in a pulsing motion from right to left. The individual recording this states that it was recorded on the 22nd of March 2025 in Chile. This was the first time he'd seen something like this, but he believed that they were aliens and wouldn't be surprised if there was something living amongst them. What's your take on it? So, this may just be one of the strangest, most chaotic-looking clips we've had in a while. The clip starts off with a bunny playing, which is then interrupted by a pair of legs running at the right top corner of the frame. I mean, it's not every day you see a pair of legs run without the upper body, right? Reminds me of the statement, running around like a headless chicken, or, well, is it a footless chicken? I blame King Julian for my confusion. Anyway, the individual who recorded the clip insists that after the legs have gone past the tree, a shadow being appears. The shadow being part isn't very clear to me, but what do you guys think? We all know how devastating the wildfire situation in Los Angeles has been and how controlling these fires has become a significant challenge. Now take a look at this footage of firefighting drones in action. These drones are equipped with hoses, flying over the raging flames and even up to burning buildings, spraying liquid directly onto the fire. If America had access to this technology, could the wildfires have been extinguished much sooner? Maybe it's about time we allocate money and resources to the makers of inventions like these instead of pushing so much into weapons development. They say that when some people die, they don't really leave. Their souls linger, hanging around, trying to get closure before they finally move on, wherever that might be. One evening, a family was outside just relaxing in the yard. It was one of those simple, peaceful moments, talking, laughing, enjoying the night air. Someone decided to snap a few pictures, just capturing the moment. But when they looked back at the photographs, they saw this. Right there behind the two people. This is standing in the dark. It was a figure, faint, shadowy, but definitely there. It looked like a soldier from way back in the day with a gun in hand, standing eerily still, almost blending into the night. They had no drought with the first look at the picture. The shape was too distinct, too human, and the strangest part is that no one remembered seeing anyone standing there when the photograph was taken. Some people believe it could be a family member who passed away making one last visit. Others think it might be the spirit of a former homeowner still attached to the place, unable or unwilling to leave. Whatever the case, one thing's for sure, some spirits don't just disappear. They stay, watching, waiting. This clip was recorded on the 10th of March 2025 in Brazil. It's fairly recent, and it shows some rather unusual lighting displays in the sky. This is not a drone show like what we've seen in the past from China. No, this just suddenly showed up in the sky the way it is and startled all who saw it. According to those who were there, when they tried to record videos of the object in the sky, the clips were unusually blurry, unless they were completely zoomed out. What you see on your screen is allegedly one of the best clips out there, and it was captured using a telescope. The story surrounding the footage has got the paranormal community talking. Some believe this is proof of alien activity, whereas others think this is nothing more than doctored footage to mislead the masses. Unfortunately, none of our correspondents live in Sao Paulo, Brazil, so we're unable to get first-hand information on this. Looking at the clip, however, we believe it could go either way. A part of me wants this to be true so bad as to establish that UFOs are not just a US thing. Perhaps that desire is making me biased, so you guys take a critical look and share your thoughts with me, okay? I'll be reading the comments. Have you ever wondered what would happen if you were to enter a black hole? Well, this clip is your answer. As you approach the black hole from a third-person perspective, time would seem to slow down. To an outside observer, it would look like you're moving slower and slower until eventually you vanish at the event horizon. But what's really happening? At the center of a black hole known as the singularity, light itself cannot escape due to the immense gravitational pull. The intense gravity warps space and time so dramatically that the laws of physics as we know them break down. And now, How did scientists even come up with this theory? Through mathematical equations and observations of gravitational effects in space, they've developed models to describe what might happen. But don't worry, this isn't exactly something anyone is volunteering to test out firsthand. A man walking through the Wicklow Mountains in Ireland stumbled upon something chilling. Take a look at this. A trail of red stretched across the snow as though something had been killed and dragged down the mountain. What's unsettling is there were no remains, nothing to indicate whether this was human or animal. The Wicklow Mountains aren't known to have wolves or large predators, so what could have caused this? He started to feel it could have been a murder scene, but that will just be inhumane and gruesome. Let's hope this was just a simple case of an animal hunting its prey and dragging it through the snow. At least, that's what I'd like to believe, but there's something about this scene that just doesn't sit right. Don't you agree? This next image was taken at the scene of an accident. Someone was simply capturing photographs of the wreckage, documenting what had happened, but what they didn't realize at the time was that they had also caught something else. At first glance, the image seems ordinary, but if you look toward the right side of the picture, just beyond the brush, something strange appears. It seems like just a random shape blending into the background, but once zoomed in, it becomes clear this is a face. The face looks distorted, almost unnatural, with a brownish tint. The expression is difficult to decipher, but it doesn't look human. It's eerie, unsettling, and undeniably out of place. There have been many instances where people claim to see figures of the deceased or even the Grim Reaper lingering near accident sites. Some believe these sightings are spirits of those who lost their lives, while others think these entities are drawn to tragedy. However, this particular image is different. No one knows exactly what this face belongs to. There are some who also speculate that it could be a mischievous entity that played a role in causing the accident. Others believe it's just a case of pareidolia. What do you think? A picture surfaced online shared by a man who claimed he witnessed a UFO crash land in the mountains. According to him, the object was a golden shiny orb which he initially saw zipping through the sky before it collided with the mountain, creating a crater. He described how the craft changed colors after it fell, and not long after, men arrived at the crash site to inspect the wreckage. He quickly left the area and shared the footage and images with his friends. However, shortly after sending the pictures, he noticed something alarming. All the images had mysteriously disappeared from their text messages. This left him feeling uneasy, as if someone or something was trying to cover it up. He strongly believes that what he saw is real and that some higher authority doesn't want people to know the truth. However, this story has been widely debunked. Many claim the man was simply fabricating the story as a joke and the golden orb was edited. But here's the thing. Isn't this exactly what they'd want us to believe? If the government truly was trying to keep UFO encounters hidden, wouldn't dismissing this as a hoax be the perfect cover-up strategy? Anyway, well, maybe I'm overthinking it, but what do you guys think? A man was out for a late-night stroll in the park when he noticed this figure standing under a streetlight, staring intently into the light. It looks humanoid and male and is covered in a long black robe from neck to toe. The only part of him visible was his pale head. His ears were slightly pointed and had an unnaturally shaped appearance. The man, feeling an overwhelming sense of unease, decided to maintain a safe distance while filming this strange encounter on his phone. Suddenly, without warning, the figure whips around to face him, but you cannot see his face well due to the darkness. The man believes that this was a vampire. In today's world, with all the myths and legends surrounding supernatural creatures, it's hard to tell what's real and what's not. Soon after sharing his experience, a commenter chimed in with an interesting observation saying this. Pretty sure I've seen this in a film or a short film for school. Don't quote me on that, but I'm pretty sure it is. Could this be the case, or could it actually be a genuine vampire encounter? Let's hear your thoughts in the comments section. This next footage comes from a police body cam. The officer was on patrol late at night when he noticed a blue 1999 Chevy parked on the side of the road. So he approached the car. Take a look at the passenger side window. There it is, a hand pressed against the glass, but then it just disappears. As the officer got closer and peeked inside, he found the car completely empty. That's right, no one was inside, and yet we clearly saw that hand on the window. Things got even stranger when the officer walked around the car. The radio suddenly turned on and started playing, but the car was not even running. The dash cam revealed no ignition activity and there wasn't a soul around. So how did this car get there, and who or what was left behind? I guess we'll never truly know.
This is some spooky right here. I'm gonna have to call this in the sheriff's department.
Next, take a look at this clip. It's an interesting sight, isn't it? We're introduced to a man who appears to be sitting at a waterfall with some strange-looking humanoids. Rest easy, they're not aliens nor paranormal beings. These are the spirit birds of the Wee Tawi tribe in Papua New Guinea. They're known for their role as guardians of a sacred waterfall. During their watch, they cover themselves in mud and adorn elaborate masks, creating that striking and enigmatic appearance you see. Nothing scary, right? At least that's how it's supposed to be. Given the unique look these guys have, influencers like the one you see started visiting the area a lot. One influencer, after visiting the area, suddenly went missing. His disappearance was mysterious. This has left individuals speculating that it has something to do with the spirit beings these guys worship or revere. There's no way to verify this, but do you think the spirits these guys worship could have something to do with their disappearance? Kindly share your thoughts in the comments section. This next footage was captured by a home security camera in the Appalachian Mountains. This region is well known for its cryptid sightings and unexplained phenomena. At around midnight, the camera recorded something deeply unsettling in the front yard. It was a distorted figure slowly walking around, its movements unnatural and eerie. It never approached the house directly, but what made the encounter even more terrifying was the sound. Alongside the footage, a low, guttural growl could be heard, followed by a faint yet unmistakable whisper of, "Let me in." This has led many to believe that the figure caught on camera might be a mimic, one of the most feared creatures in Appalachian folklore. Mimics are said to imitate human voices in an attempt to lure people outside or convince them to open their doors. They sound close when they're far away, but if they ever sound distant, it means they're right next to you. While some skeptics claim that footage could be staged, those familiar with Appalachian legends know that mimics are no joke. Locals often refuse to call out into the woods at night or acknowledge strange voices, fearing that something inhuman might answer back. Could this be evidence of a real mimic? This intriguing footage comes from a man in Utah who noticed an unusual cloud in the evening sky just across the street. At first glance, it appeared to be just another cloud, but upon closer inspection, its shape looked eerily similar to the saucer. What made it even stranger were the flickering lights emanating from the cloud. Oddly enough, this was the only cloud in the area at the time. As the footage zoomed in, things got even more bizarre. An orb appeared at the top of the cloud and slowly descended into it as if merging with the strange formation. Could this be evidence of a cloaked UFO hiding in plain sight? Let's hear your thoughts. Starting a new job can be intimidating, yes, but never have I had to start one like this young lady did. She was just sitting on one of the desks when a drawer casually pulled itself out. In the clip, we see her pause and look around, wondering what was happening. She might have been expecting someone to jump out and say, "Hey, it's all a prank," but that's not what happened. In fact, they had to go through CCTV footage to confirm the story, and that CCTV footage is what you're seeing. This clip was uploaded to one of our platforms, with the uploader wanting to know what was happening. Some said it was a ghost, whereas others felt it was a demon. Personally, I'm not sure what to think about this one. One thing's certain, though, it ain't natural. Personally, I'm not sure what to think of this one myself. I don't think it's natural, though. Oh well. With that, we end today's episode. Thank you for staying with us. Before you go with our clips and videos you think we should have featured by now that we haven't. Well, the good news is you can share them with us and we'll post them crediting you. Please send any such footage, including ones you recorded yourself, to us via classifiedcaptures@gmail.com. We'll do our thing and include it in our next episode. We can't wait to receive what you have. My name's been Steve. This has been Classified Captures. Now do me a favor. Share this with somebody you love, or a few people. And I'll see you in the next one.